Welcome to the show, everybody. My name is Mark Farzetta. This is the Farzy Show, presented by MyBookie, mybookie.ag. Just lovely to have you along for the ride. Not lovely to watch the Philadelphia Phillies last night. That had been a minute. It had been a while since I watched the Phillies with disgust. That's where I found myself last night. That was the headspace I was in. I was watching your Philadelphia Phillies team, our beloved Philadelphia Phillies team, with disgust. Christopher Sanchez did not at all look like Christopher Sanchez. The only time he actually looked like Christopher Sanchez was after Bryce Harper talked to him in the fourth inning. That was it. And I thought he had gotten it out of his system, and we've talked about this a lot with Christopher Sanchez. The start against the Mets that he had, where he couldn't find the strike zone over that start, his start after that, I had said that he looked like a guy that all of a sudden was a mop-up guy to Sandy Koufax. That's how it looked, where he would just have this quantum leap from god-awful fringe big league pitcher to, oh my God, this guy's incredible. And I thought that was going to happen again. I thought Bryce Harper got to him in a positive way. Like, hey, let me help you out here, bud. You know what I'm saying? Without JT Realmuto behind the dish, Bryce Harper called timeout after Christopher Sanchez called a ball. We'll get into it a little bit more in a second. And he talked him down, talked him off the ledge, if you will, had him pull focus. Immediately after that, he actually threw a strike, which he hadn't done in a little bit. He gave up a sac fly RBI, but the damage was limited. And that's what has happened with Christopher Sanchez in those bad innings where he can't find the strike zone. He allows guys on base. The defense doesn't help him. He has had somebody quiet the storm. With the Mets, it was Caleb Cotham that came out to the mound and talked to him. JT Realmuto talked to him. In this particular case, it was Bryce Harper calling timeout because Rafael Monchan behind the plate maybe doesn't have a good feel yet for handling a big league pitching staff. Not yet. Hopefully this is a step in the right direction as far as that goes. But Harper called timeout almost immediately, settled him down. Rob Thompson sticks with him for the rest of the inning, sticks with Christopher Sanchez for the rest of the inning. And then in the fifth inning, gives up back-to-back singles, and Rob Thompson's like, well, let's see what happens here. No, at that point, you got to go get him. And unfortunately, they didn't go get him at that point. And then everything started to unravel. The bullpen was bad last night. Spencer Turnbull couldn't find the strike. Oh, my goodness gracious. 4 walks. Jose Ruiz had his struggles. It was Turnbull and Ruiz that combined for the 4 hits and 4 walks, but all 4 walks for Spencer Turnbull. It wasn't pretty. It was bad. It was really bad. And again, the defense wasn't great. Whit Merrifield at second base really was having his struggles. It was just a disgust. They scored 6 runs, so it's hard to be mad at the offense, although they were 4 for 13 with runners in scoring position. Alec Boehm was 0 for 3 with runners in scoring position. His batting average now below, forget about 300. It's below 290 now. I think it's 289 going into tonight's game. Another 7-10 start time, by the way. It was just gross. And I had a lot of people hit me up and be like, screw this, go to the finals. Flipping over to the NBA finals. And we'll talk about that, just like we'll dissect the Phillies. We'll hear from Rob Thompson on the show tonight as to whether or not Rafael Monchan behind the plate had something to do with Christopher Sanchez's struggles. Spoiler, he says no. The velocity was good on Sanchez. The location, not so much. One of the things that was just wild about Sanchez last night was in the first 2 innings, he was getting barreled up. It amounted to nothing. Like the first inning, he had 8 pitches, but every out, the ball was hit on the screws. He wasn't fooling anybody in that. So we'll get into that. Chris Sims came out with his annual list of quarterbacks, ranking all the quarterbacks, where they're at in the NFL, and I got to say, I think a lot of people, here's a glimpse of it right now. A lot of people looking at Christopher Sanchez, here I am. Look at his list and usually wait to be angry. They usually wait to be pissed off. I read this list. I was waiting to be angry. I was waiting to be pissed off. The only thing that raised my eyebrows, everyone loves Justin Herbert. I am not a Justin Herbert guy. I don't know why he's so high on the list, but there you go. CJ Stroud kind of jumped out to me after 1 year of being set. No, I think he's very good. 7 on the list, maybe premature, a little premature. Dak Prescott's going to put up the numbers, and he had a better year last year than Jalen Hurts, obviously, so it's hard to argue with it. But Jalen Hurts being 9th on this list does not have me infuriated. I am not wildly pissed off at Jalen Hurts being 9th on this list. I think a lot of Eagles fans looked at this list, a lot of Philadelphia fans, and they're like, oh, here comes the top 10. Here we go. It's stupid. Chris Sim wanted it here. Actually, that's not bad. Not bad. Not bad. Not bad this year. Not bad this year. We'll dissect that a little bit more as the show goes on. I mentioned the NBA Finals. The logo. Jerry West passed away yesterday. There are certain people that you just grow up knowing in sports, like knowing, I don't know Jerry West, but you just know of him. Like if you're a sports fan, if you're an NBA fan, you know Jerry West. The logo, as we all know. Hall of Fame player. About to be a Hall of Fame contributor, right? As a GM, as a coach, and all that stuff. Was the GM of the Showtime Lakers, traded for Kobe Bryant, or drafted Kobe Bryant. Do you think he's going to be around forever? And he passed away yesterday. And I know he was a Laker, but damn, just one of those people that you just respect the entire career of. And I know the Showtime Lakers handed the Sixers their fair share of losses. The Celtics handed the Sixers their fair share of losses. The Celtics beat the Lakers, or excuse me, the Sixers beat the Lakers for their championship, of course, with Dr. J rocking the baby to sleep, Mo Cheeks dribbling down the court as time was expiring to throw down that final dunk and all that. But when I think of the Lakers, I think of spoiling more parties than enjoying, and nobody spoiled a bigger party in my life than the Kobe and Shaq Lakers with Allen Iverson and winning games 2, 3, 4, and 5 in that series. And Jerry West was the GM of that squad. But as far as respecting the talent, the attitude, mindset of a player, how do you not respect Jerry West? So we'll get into that conversation a little bit later in the show as well. Get your thoughts on it also. To put a bow on your Philadelphia Phillies here, and what an ugly game that was. Let's go through the whole thing. First and foremost, Rob Thompson yesterday was speaking after the game with Christopher Sanchez. We'll let you hear from that in a second. But first, I want to talk about a couple of mistakes that were made in this game, because if I had to really break it down, as for things that I was looking at this game that were really upsetting, I mentioned yesterday that JT Realmuto is going to be missed. I mentioned also that the Phillies could weather this storm. They got a good enough pitching staff where you can just put the backstop back there and these guys will find their way still, right? Huh? I don't blame Rafael Marchand for Christopher Sanchez's struggles, not at all. But a guy that might be able to talk you off the ledge sooner rather than later is JT Realmuto, more so than Rafael Marchand. So that is something that is bothering me after last night's game. The other thing that is bothering me is that Bryce Harper had to be the guy to calm the storm. But this is going to be, unfortunately, a long process in the Phillies kind of learning their way without a guy that Nick Castellanos did call the backbone of the team. If he's the guy that keep the pitching staff focused, if he's a guy that can help guys like Ranger Suarez and Aaron Nola and obviously Christopher Sanchez in this case, if he's a guy that can help those guys, Taijuan Walker, and no one to talk them off the ledge, no one they need to hear that, that little thing that can kind of get them focused again, line up, call the pitch that is their comfort zone and all that. That's what JT Realmuto does so damn well, as opposed to catching the baseball. And also, as I said yesterday, I'd rather have him in the batter's box than really any of the Phillies options at the catcher position, as we know. So that was a concern. That was the number one thing I was looking at in last night's game, especially when I saw Sanchez getting barreled up in the early goings, even though he hadn't got to yet. That was something that was gnawing on my brain. The other thing was Christopher Sanchez in the 4th and 5th innings. I don't understand what Rob Thompson was doing, particularly in the 5th inning. 4th inning, I get to a certain extent. 5th inning, I get. Or excuse me, 4th inning, I get. 5th inning, I do not. You go out there in the 4th inning, you have struggles. You're having trouble, getting the ball over the plate with any type of consistency. You don't get much help defensively either. And just time and time again, you're just not finding the proper arm slot. And when he lost that yesterday, it felt like this game started to go a little awry. Phillies had a 4-0 lead going into that fourth inning. O'Neill goes up there and grounds out to Alec Bowman, makes a good play there at third base. Strong throw across the field. Devers gets the triple. Wong works the walk on 4 pitches, losing the strike zone. And that's when Westbrook came to the plate. And the first pitch he took was, I think it was low. Bryce Harper calls timeout. Mound conference. The very next pitch is right over the middle of the plate. It's a good pitch. Good pitch to hit. Westbrook just missed it. And he gets the sac fly RBI, and all of a sudden it's a 4-1 ball game. All right, if Christopher Sanchez is all of a sudden going to start throwing strikes, I will gladly take that one out. But they get the one out. So now they have 2 outs in the inning. And then Dahlbeck goes up there and he grounds out to the 6-4 fielder's choice. You're out of the inning. At this point, after the bottom of the fourth inning, Rob Thompson's probably thinking to himself, this is the Christopher Sanchez we've seen before, where he has struggles, really can't locate, and then all of a sudden something snaps into place mentally for him, where he either corrects the mechanic or his focus locks in, and he's back to being the Christopher Sanchez that had back-to-back phenomenal starts for the Phillies leading up to this one. A little bit of a layoff here for Christopher Sanchez, obviously, but he comes out in that 5th inning, gives up the single to Hamilton, gives up the single to Rafaela. Rafaela takes 2 on David Dahl. David Dahl, for whatever reason, didn't throw to second base. He threw to third. I don't know why he thought he would be able to get Hamilton in that situation, but he did. He needs to throw to second base to keep it at first and third with nobody out. Instead, it's second and third with nobody out. Duran then comes up there, gets the infield single to Merrifield at second base. So Dahl doesn't help Sanchez by throwing to second base and keeping it from 2 runners in scoring position. Then Merrifield doesn't help much by doing the right thing in terms of charging that baseball and then just taking a second and firing to first base to at least make an accurate throw. Instead, 1 run scores on the play. Then the error happens. A second run scores on the play. So now it's a 4-3 game. You go from a 4-0 game to now a 4-3 game. Not great. So then at that moment, Sanchez gets taken out of the game. Ruiz comes in. Ruiz doesn't help. He faces Ref Snyder. Ref Snyder gets the single to left field. You now have first and third with nobody out. Then O'Neill comes up. He gets the sac fly RBI to left field. Then he strikes out Devers. It's a 4-4 game at that point. Devers goes up there. He gets him to strike out, looking at a curveball up in the zone, which you don't see too often. Wong gets a hit. Then it's first and third with 2 outs. Valdez goes up there pinch hitting for Westbrook. And he gets the 2-run double off the wall. Valdez thrown out at second base to end the inning. But at that point, you go from in 2 innings, a 4-0 Phillies lead to a 6-4 Red Sox lead. I think the mistake there, obviously in the field, I don't know what Dahl was doing. Merrifield needs to make a better throw to first base. And what was Rob Thompson doing? After the second hit, I think that's a wrap, man. Sanchez got to come out of the game. If calming the storm with Sanchez doesn't work. And it did in the previous inning, in the 4th. In the 5th inning, the storm was back. The clouds might have cleared up for a second, but they came roaring back with torrential downpour in the 5th inning. Wasn't able to record it out. Bullpen couldn't stop the bleeding. So then they go from Jose Ruiz in relief to Spencer Turnbull, who was not any better. Unfortunately, he allows 2 more runs to score, gives up the Hamilton 2-run home run. Also walked Dahlbeck on 8 pitches. Good at bat there by him. Then in the bottom of the 7th inning, O'Neill walks, Devers walks. First and second, nobody out. Gets Wong to strike out on 3 pitches somehow. Then Valdez goes up there. He walks. 3 outs in the inning. There should be 3 walks in the inning. And, yeah, the Phillies couldn't do themselves many favors. That many base runners. Unfortunately, it didn't come back to bite him in the old behind in that particular instance. So Sanchez and the bullpen pitching was terrible yesterday. Sir Anthony Dominguez. Gregory Soto. By the way, Gregory Soto coming in a not big leverage situation, kind of as we predicted. But it was just ugly game to watch. As far as the bats went, you had situation there in the first inning where Harper gets the RBI single to right field. Schwarber scores on that. Cassie was able to go to third. A little bit later in that inning, Bryson Stott grounds out on a fielder's choice. Grounds into a fielder's choice. Harper is out at second base. Castellanos scores. So you get 2 runs in the first inning. It was a 27-pitch first inning for Nick Pivetta. You think you're on cruise control at this point. You put up 4 runs on him. He doesn't even come out for the 5th. He's done after 4. You think, this is going to be great. Now Sanchez is settled in. You're into their bullpen. You're all hunky-dory here. And that's when everything fell apart. And the Phillies couldn't do much, offensively speaking, to help pick up anybody. I was waiting for that big hit. I was waiting for that big moment, and it just didn't come for the Phillies after that. Weird moment in this game. I think it was in the 7th inning. Yeah, it was in the 7th inning. Phillies are trailing 8-4. Nick Castellanos is leading off the 7th inning, and he gets called for the automatic strike. It was the second time I think a pitch clock violation happened in the game. Once was against the Red Sox. This one was against the Phillies. Both times on the batter. Castellanos steps into the batter's box, and they were late getting back from the commercial break. So I don't know. I didn't see how it all transpired. But the bottom line is, regardless of how it transpired, Nick Castellanos felt as if home plate umpire Derek Thomas had a little bit of either a quick start on the pitch timer or was not speaking up too much. Now, upon first hearing Nick Castellanos he steps back into the batter's box after the strike was called, the automatic strike was called. Then he steps out of the batter's box, and I don't know if he called timeout or what the deal was, but he starts talking to the home plate umpire. He's already down 0-1, and he steps out of the batter's box again, steps up to Derek Thomas, home plate umpire, starts like getting in his ear. The on-field microphones start to pick up what Nick Castellanos is saying. And it sounded something along the lines of, I've been in the league 10 years. You got to show respect to somebody who's been in the league for 10 years. You should probably speak up, bro. And then someone's like, he didn't say probably. And I went back and I listened and I went, oh, he definitely said, you got to effing speak up, bro. 2 things about that. One, usually you curse at an umpire, you're gone. You drop an F-bomb to an umpire, deuces, okay? Especially if it's over something somewhat mundane. And then dropping bro. You effing gotta speak up, bro. And then Nick Castellanos just digs back into the batter's box, and Derek Thomas is like, all right, go. Like, I credit him for not throwing Nick Castellanos out of the game. Because how many times we're like, oh, an umpire, it's all about you, you know? But Derek Thomas buried his ego, I guess. Nick Castellanos ends up working a walk, and I'm just laughing my ass off. Because I was just like, wait, hold on. He definitely dropped the F-bomb there. I went back and listened to it again. Holy pots and pans. And he also called him bro. All right. Here we are. Worked a walk. Later in the game, Nick Castellanos got a triple. So that was cool, too. Oh, shoot, what? Later in the game. Earlier in the game, Nick Castellanos got a triple. Would have scored if he would have kept going. Dusty Watson, I don't have a big problem with. He played it by the book. I forget who it was on the relay. He dropped the relay, which obviously would have allowed Nick Castellanos to score. I still think Nick Castellanos would have scored on that play. You'll hear from Rob Thompson after the game, but he says it's difficult to get a guy going again once they've stopped, once they go from full speed to stop. It's hard to get him going again. That I get. I still think there would have been time for Nick Castellanos to score. Because Nick Castellanos, and this is why I think it, Nick Castellanos rounded third base. He went down more than a couple steps. By the time that ball's dropped, he sees it. He breaks for home. He's going to make that. Because just like it's difficult to get a runner going again, it's not as easy for a guy to rush the throw after dropping it, picking up, making an accurate and on the money and high velo throw from the middle of the right field line. So in the outfield. So I think Nick Castellanos still would have scored on that. And that's me, the person that has constantly acknowledged Nick Castellanos for being super slow. For me, constantly acknowledging Nick Castellanos as a guy that would lose in a foot race to Pat Burrell. You know what I'm saying? That's where I'm at with that. Alec Boehm, in no way, I think, is a problem. But Alec Boehm has unfortunately also come crashing back down to earth recently. I'm not overly concerned. It might be a situation, I would say day off, but the Phillies aren't going to have a day off for a while. I believe next Thursday is their next day off. They play tonight at 7:10. They play through the weekend in Baltimore, Maryland. Then they come back home. So maybe instead of the day off, maybe some home cooking will do them some good, I guess. They're sleeping in their own bed right after some international travel and all that type jazz. But holy moly. Alec Boehm looks like a guy that is being greatly affected by, travel or whatnot. But Boehm's average now down to 286. It's been on a steady decline, unfortunately. In the month of June, he's hitting 162 in 37 plate appearances. In May, he had 243, which is also not great. And what he hangs his hat on now for the season, he had a 430, 420 average with runners in scoring position. That is now down to 338 on the season with a 400 on base percentage in that moment with runners in scoring position. Runners on 320 with a 379 on base percentage. So a cleanup hitter for the season is doing pretty well. But as of late, and you're talking about the last 15 days, 178. The last week, he's batting 200. This is really not the time for when you don't have JT Realmuto. You're still waiting for Trey Turner to come back. Not the time to see the old schneid there when it comes to Alec Boehm batting cleanup for this Phillies squad. Looking at this game last night, without question, this was the game. It was the first game in a while that I watched with just complete disgust. Now they go for the series win today with Aaron Nola on the hill. Last night, after the game, Rob Thompson addressed the media. First question he answers with a no. And the question is, Rafael Marchand behind the plate, is that a reason for Christopher Sanchez struggles?
No. Okay. No. Sanchez, it's his game. He knows that's his pitch. So.
In Turnbull, you see that more as like the layoff.
Rushed.
Yeah.
That's all it is. Guy hasn't pitched in 10 days. I've seen a hitter in 10 days. That's you can't lay that on him. It's just a lack of reps. That's all.
I know it got away in the fifth, but in the fourth there, when Sanchez was struggling, Bryce went to the mound. It looked like he did most of the talking, and that could be a spot where JT does that. Like maybe Bryce stepping up without JT.
Yeah, and it was great. And I thought, so up until that point, from that point on, the last two hitters in the fourth, that was Sanchez. He was throwing the ball with conviction, using his changeup, getting swings and misses. So whatever Harp said was the right thing, and Sanchez got after it. And that's why we sent him back out in the fifth.
Was that a costly mistake by Dahl? He has to throw to the second base there, right?
Yeah, we should throw the ball to second base. We didn't help Sanchez in that inning either in the fifth.
They didn't help him, blah, blah, blah. Later in the press conference, he does talk about Nick Castellanos. It's hard to get a guy going like that again. First off, David Dahl's he's a new kid on the block here. He's done very well since the Phillies have brought him in, at the major league level and all that stuff. But when you're new, it really is funny how open and honest a manager or a coach will be if you're a new guy. Should have thrown the second base. Well, it can't be difficult, making a read on that play. But a new guy, hey, should he have thrown to second base? Yes, he should have thrown to second base. In that particular situation, yeah, he should have thrown. He knows he's got to throw to second base in that fifth inning. He didn't throw to second base. Two runners were in scoring position as opposed to just one needing to be in scoring position in that particular play. And then he wasn't even asked about Whit Merrifield because Whit Merrifield, it was just clear. He rushed it. He had to rush it, but he made a bad throw while rushing it. So, yes, that did not help Christopher Sanchez in the least bit. The only thing that helped Christopher Sanchez was spotting him 4 runs with a 4-run lead, so that was good. A lot of luck helped Christopher Sanchez. Some good defense, especially there in the first inning from Alec Boehm, who I believe prevented a leadoff double with the way that ball was hit so hard. And then, that was pretty much it. That was the only thing that really helped. Oh, Bryce Harper. Bryce Harper's mound conference. That's what I was looking for. That helped. After that, back-to-back singles lead up the fifth inning. You got to take him out of the game there, Topper. Got to take him out of the game. Not in hindsight. In the moment. That's when I started getting tweets from people. Is Daz in the chat today? I think Daz tweeted me. Yeah, I think I got to watch finals. Something along those lines, unfortunately. But yeah, it was not sharp. But yeah, Phillies back at it tonight against the Red Sox to go for the series win. Meanwhile, their next opponent, the Baltimore Orioles, are just poop canning people. They're just destroying them. Going into last night, I think it was 29-7 over a 5-game winning streak. They've just been dominating. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Phillies better get their act together before panic ensues. So that's the way that broke down. This is something that we all look forward to each and every year. Happy Chris Sims final top 40 quarterback list reveal. This year, I can't remember if he did it this way before, but Patrick Mahomes, and then on the left, for the people on the podcast, I'm showing the top 10. He has legendary Patrick Mahomes, the only one in the NFL right now that's legendary. Hard to argue. Then he has unicorns with the unicorn emoji. Josh Allen and Joe Burrow. I really like Joe Burrow. Like, Joe Burrow is, in terms of resume, similar to Jalen Hurts. You know, played in the Super Bowl, but lost that Super Bowl early in their careers. Okay. So Joe Burrow coming back here, right? Third on the list. Followed by two-time MVP Lamar Jackson, who played in a conference championship last year and lost to the Chiefs, had home field advantage. He's number 4. He describes them as damn okay. I don't know what that means. You're watching a quarterback that you don't really know, and somebody goes, damn okay. Like, what does that mean? Does that mean they're damn okay, or does that mean damn okay? Like, they're really good? So you go from unicorn to really good. And then you go to prodigy is the way he describes CJ Stroud. All right. Very good. One hell of a rookie season. Again, a rookie season. And then awesome NFC contenders. Dak Prescott at 8. Jalen Hurts at 9. Jared Goff at 10. So here you go. I'll give it to you for the people on the people on the podcast. All right, from 1 to 10. Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, Jackson, Stafford. Curious. Justin Herbert, CJ Stroud, Prescott, Hurts, Goff. I think Justin Herbert's like a really good athlete. Right? And all the ifs and stuff. You put him on this offense and it's different. Okay, well, he's not on that offense. He's on the Chargers offense. He's quarterback of the Chargers. We'll see what Jim Harbaugh does with him as the new head coach out there and all that type jazz. But that's one thing that I don't understand from people, the love affair they have with Justin Herbert. And CJ Stroud being 7th on this list right out of the gate seems a little premature. But if he's describing it as a prodigy, fine. Personally, I would have Jalen Hurts maybe a little higher on the list. But here, my main point is this isn't egregious. Like having him at whatever he was, like even off the top 40 2 years ago, going into his, I'll say NFC MVP season. Not a thing. I know. The Super Bowl run that season, that was outrageous. Last year, getting snubbed, not being in the top 5 snub. This year, top 10, top 9. I think that's fair after the year that we just saw from Jalen Hurts. And the number one thing that's going to kill you is turnovers. If you're going to have turnovers, if you're going to give the ball away 19 times, then you better win a Super Bowl or be in a Super Bowl. You better win a crap ton of games, and you better not be the quarterback of a team that is having a historic collapse at the end of the season. So, although, yeah, I can make arguments for being a little higher, it's not egregious. I think it's very fair. I think if he was outside the top 10 after one struggling year where, by the way, once again, I know we say this a lot, but it's true, he was the odds-on favorite to be the MVP going into that San Francisco 49ers game. You think 49ers fans are all pissed off that Brock Purdy wasn't a top 10 guy? I mean, that's what he could certainly argue he could be in the top 10, played in the Super Bowl. Certainly argue it. And the Dak Prescott love, look, he puts up numbers, as I said earlier, and he's the quarterback of the Cowboys. He's going to get the love. He's going to get the love, unfortunately. But for me, I hope that this is still, and I know it sounds childish to some people, but these guys see all this. And I know not everybody looks at doubters with the same vibe, like, oh, yeah, that's motivation for me. But Jalen Hurts does. He might not voice it time and time again. Like, nobody believes me, that whole thing. But it registers. That's where that whole quote comes from about how I had a purpose before anybody had an opinion. Stuff like that. I know he says the right thing in terms of being above it all. When all the trade talk was going on, going into his first full year as the starting quarterback before he took the Eagles to the playoffs against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers the first time. Like, I know he acts like I'm above it all, but that stuff does come out later to register on his radar and become that motivation when he's on the practice field, when he's in the film room, when he's in the weight room, whatever the case might be. That's registering to him to be a little bit more motivated than maybe he wouldn't be. He should be a top 5 quarterback. No question about that in my mind. Should be. But justifiably right now, you can't do it. After last year, you can't justify a top 5 quarterback. Now it's his responsibility to, go ahead, win a Super Bowl. That'd make things easy on everybody, right? Anybody making a list? Well, you got to move Jalen Hurts up here, a couple of ticks. Yeah, makes it real easy. But also, little extra added bonus, little extra added pleasure by showing people that doubted you that you could actually be better. So it got me thinking, what would make Jalen Hurts better? What would make Jalen Hurts a better quarterback this year? The number one thing that I think could be solved between his own ears and coaching is being happy with a single. It's the number one thing. Now, you could go to turnovers. Turnovers for me is the obvious thing. I've mentioned it already. Certainly turnovers. So just to mention that again, throw it aside. Yes, absolutely turnovers. But something you could coach him to be better at, and I think would also limit the turnovers, is hitting a single is okay. And that doesn't mean at the line of scrimmage you're changing the play and you're checking down to the tight end screen, to the bubble screen, to something like that. That doesn't mean that. That means the play that was called on the sideline is the play that you're calling at the line of scrimmage. And whoever's the safety valve, if it's Saquon Barkley, if it's Kenny Gainwell, that little dump down, that little check down to the line of scrimmage that could have been used in the Seattle game on 2 separate occasions, you use that. Instead, what did it result in? Oh, it resulted in turnovers, what we're trying to limit. You take away turnovers by making the nice, easy, safe play. Oh, this is what they're giving me? Dink, dunk. I know it's not sexy. I know it doesn't pad the stats. I know it doesn't make highlight reels. But when you could downshift from shooting guard to point guard, good things happen. Great things happen. If I'm Kellen Moore, if I'm Coach Ness, right? I'm grabbing Jalen Hurts. And aside from the installs and all that stuff, I'm just like, hey, overall, in a mindset, one of the first things I'd love to see from you this season and things we can work on throughout training camp and all that is if you're looking up after you've called the play and you don't like it and you don't want to make the play with your legs, dink, dunk, take the single. Sometimes you just need men on base. Making these baseball analogies during baseball season. But that's one of the things I could look at with Jalen Hurts and say, hey, just take the check. Not before the play, but in the process of the play. Because as I always have to remind people, the bubble screens for me with Jalen Hurts aren't always on Shane Steichen. They're not always on Brian Johnson. They're not always on Nick Sirianni. They're on Jalen Hurts. He's the one checking to the play before running it. I'm talking about checking down to that safety valve, running back, or maybe Dallas Goedert's camping out around the line of scrimmage. You hit him. Take that play. Take that simple play. Take what the defense is giving you. After that, situational football. And that's That's also between the years. That's not throwing the football down the field when you're up, 3 points already on the Commanders. Not having to throw it down the field to A.J. Brown to get that one more touchdown. Later forcing overtime. Very simple. Situational football. Realizing the score, the time that's left in the game, and the playing the percentages. What locks in the best? You winning the game. Holding on to the football. Not giving the football back to the opponent. Washington game 1, certainly. Seattle game, certainly. 2 biggest games you could look at. You just win those 2 games. You did win the Washington game, but you would just win the Seattle game with situational football. A lot of things are different. That's what bothers me. If you're taking over Jalen Hurts and you're his coach in the upcoming season, what are you telling him? The first thing I'm saying is, hey, the line of scrimmage can be your friend. You get somebody open around the line of scrimmage that can take the ball, like Saquon Barkley, for instance. A 1-yard catch for Saquon Barkley can turn into a 20-yard gain. 19 yards of yak after that. Hell, he could break it for a touchdown. Just put the ball in his hands, man. You can do less, and the team can get more. Realize that. Sometimes I think that this Superman mentality kicks in. Hopefully that doesn't happen now that you're locked in at every position as far as skilled positions go, with 2 stud wide receivers and a stud running back, and Dallas Goedert, when healthy, I feel a stud tight end. Lock in with that. Then the other thing, aside from that, is just making sure it doesn't have much to do with Kellen Moore as it does with Jeff Stoutland and your new center. Making sure you're on the same page with Cam Jurgens when it comes to shifted protections and all that. That's something that you got to be on the same page with. But other than that, as far as the actual play of Jalen Hurts, the first thing I'm doing that will help limit turnovers, help alleviate that, is just, hey, this is what the defense is giving you. Don't force it. Don't force it. And that's how I think Jalen Hurts climbs this list a little bit more for next offseason. A year from now, we could talk about him being in the top 3 again. Maybe we could talk, or top 3, maybe we could talk about being in the top 4. That's what I'll cross my fingers for. It's going to happen. I'm not happy about it, but it's going to happen. The Boston Celtics last night went up 3-0 on the Dallas Mavericks. Speaking of Patrick Mahomes, he was in attendance at last night's game. After the Phillies, I was flipping around a little bit and caught a little bit of the end of the game as I was getting the postcast ready. Had a little technical issue, but got that up and running. But last night, the Boston Celtics just showed you why they're a phenomenal team. And they're about to sweep the NBA Finals. They almost blew a 21-point lead in the fourth quarter. And they actually lost the fourth quarter 29-21. But they got one beneficial call, but they capitalized on their opportunities. The call happened on Washington at Washington Jr. at about 3 minutes left in the game. Celtics are up 3. They get that turnover off the illegal screen. I think it was a good call simply because he stepped back to set the screen and did it from the side. So it was almost like he threw a shoulder into Drew Holiday's neck. Celtics hit the ball back. White hits the 3. They go up 6 points, and then they were pretty much in control after that. But everybody for the Celtics yesterday, including Jalen Brown, just seemed to be on the money. Tatum had 31 points in the game last night. Brown had 30 points for them as well. Drew Holiday dropped in 16 points, had 4 assists with 5 rebounds, 2 blocks. Celtics are about to sweep the NBA Finals. So I just want to say this again, just so we can all go to the same therapy session here. Sergei Bobrovsky is going to win the Stanley Cup. Drew Holiday is going to win his second MVP title. Yeah. Good to be alive. Hey, let me tell you about MyBookie. MyBookie.ag. MyBookie, you can download the app to your phone. You can create an account. You can use promo code Farzy and get up to $1,000 redeemable cash bonus and MyBookie, mybookie.ag. So take advantage of all they have to offer at MyBookie, mybookie.ag. Want to bet on game 4 of the finals? You can do that. You can bet on the Stanley Cup finals, bet on the Phillies taking on the Red Sox tonight. You can do that all with MyBookie, mybookie.ag. Also, betting on the world of sports isn't your thing. You can also bet on the world of politics. You can also bet on the world of television. You can do that all on MyBookie, mybookie.ag. How about the Game Time app? Download the Game Time app to your phone, create an account, use promo code FARZI on the Game Time app, and you get $20 off your first purchase. So if you want to go to the concert, want to go to the comedy show, you want to go see the Phillies when they return home after this Baltimore series, 1 more in Boston, 3 in Baltimore. Hell, you even want to drive down 95 to go to Baltimore, the Inner Harbor, enjoy all they have to offer? You can do it with the Game Time app. Download the app to your phone, create an account, use promo code FARZI, get $20 off your first purchase on the Game Time app. They have last-minute ticket deals. They have flash ticket deals. They even have ticket deals for an hour after the event starts. So make sure you enjoy all they have to offer on the Game Time app. And my favorite thing, the Game Time guarantee. If you find tickets in the same section in a row for less money elsewhere, Game Time will credit your account 110% of the difference. That's the Game Time guarantee. So download the Game Time app to your phone, create an account, use promo code FARZI, and get $20 off your first purchase on the Game Time app. How about PHL Sports Nation? Philadelphia Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs. That's phlsportsnation.com. Let's get into the chat check and see how you guys are doing on this fine morning. IBH, what's going on? Sean Kilrain, hello. Sean Gillespie, April. Good morning. Phillies broke my heart yesterday. It's been few and far between with the heartbreaking Phillies losses. They're really good. They're really good at baseball this year. But yeah, last night it was I don't know if it was because the previous night's game, Zach Wheeler went out there and was just on, man. He was just on in that game. Kyle Schwarber got you the first pitch home run. It was a quick game. This game yesterday was excruciating. Like I told you guys, Tuesday night, I did the Fantastic Sports Show. I had to do postcast after the game and then make it to Fox 29 by 11 o'clock. Okay. So like when you're watching a baseball game, you're like, all right, hopefully this is a quick inning. I got, things I have to do after the game, both based on the game. And I'm watching the game and I'm like, oh, this is going quick. Great. Fine. Fantastic. I'm out of the house by like 10:30. Make it to Fox in no time at all. This is great. And then last night I'm watching the game and it's like 10 o'clock and you're going into the 9th inning. And I'm like, damn, glad this wasn't last night's game. But the point being, 2 nights ago, it was quick as hell. This game, excruciatingly slow. And I'm not just talking about the game was slow. The Phillies just looked terrible. Like, that's why it was slow, is because the Phillies were bad at baseball last night. And that, to me, I don't know if it was because the first game was, like, so efficient and well played, and this game was just so not efficient and dumb baseball and bad pitching. That was the excruciating part of it. CZ, good morning. Chris Sims, still a schmuck. April, great use as a schmuck. CZ, telling you, Farzy, get Mason Miller and Crotchet and McCarthy. That's it? Just 3 guys? IBH, can you imagine if they had a 3-point line when Jerry West played, not to mention guys like Oscar Robertson and Sam Jones? Yeah. I think about that a lot. I think about that even with Jordan, who did have a 3-point line, just the game wasn't played that way. The and one was the 3-point play. You could still hit threes. Yeah, John Paxton, you had Steve Kerr dropping threes, of course. But yeah, I do think about that a lot. Yeah. You'll be seeing the highlights, of course, of Jerry West's career. 1 championship as a player. 6 as a GM. 3-peat with the Lakers, with the Showtime Lakers. And then 3 with Kobe and Shaq. I might be off on 1 there. I don't know. I remember when Kobe died. And people were saying they should change the logo to Kobe Bryant's like fadeaway. And I remember thinking, like, you can't like that. Like, don't make me say no to something with Kobe right now. You know? And there was like talk about it, and Adam Silver was like, yeah, not happening. And literally the logo of the sport. It's pretty incredible. But also think about this. Think about as a player, you lose time and time again to Bill Russell's Boston Celtics. And then you finally squeak out a championship, winning one as a player. Then you go into the coaching role. Then you go into the GM role. The Showtime Lakers are really blossoming at that point. You win at least 3 with them. And then you get, a long time later, you assemble Kobe and Shaq. And then you build from there. And all the while, the guy's just a class act. As a guy who hates the Lakers, me, just have to admire and respect the talent as a player, as a GM, and as they say in the NBA, in the Naismith Memorial Pro Basketball Hall of Fame, contributor. Pretty special. Pretty special. IBH, I refuse to click on anything by Sims. Jason, good morning, all. Can't believe we're about to watch a finals sweep. Worst finals ever. This might be the worst finals season ever in terms of the Stanley Cup and the NBA finals, simply because of Bobrovsky and Holiday. Not fun. Celtics are just too good a team, dominated throughout the playoffs. Sean, absolutely. Sean, you think it's possible that the Eagles might move off of Slay instead of Bradbury? I mean, I will say the cliche, anything's possible, but I don't think they do that. I think Darius Slay has been far too outspoken for a guy that is possibly being gone, like being moved off the team. Bradbury, we haven't heard anything. It's far different. James Alexander, good morning. I don't know how they blew that lead. Well, horrible pitching. Free base runners. A lack of hitting with runners in scoring position. That's how they did it, unfortunately. Sean Cohen, Chris Sims' ranking is a joke, just like his NFL career. He wouldn't be there without his dad. Hey, I have no doubt that nepotism plays a nice big fat role in it. I've come to IBH. I've come to dislike the 49ers for Brock Purdue. I'm assuming that's a typo. No surprise for a boob like Sims. That's great. Oh, Brock Purdy not being on the list makes it invalid, IBH. Fair. Oh, as much as I have to come to dislike the 49ers. There you go. Sorry, IBH. I butchered that. Sean Gillespie, Lamar should be number 2 despite the playoff loss. Yeah, the whole thing with Josh Allen, and I like Josh Allen, but like, hello, turnovers? That high on the list again? Number 2? That's crazy. How about the top 3 are all AFC guys? Top 4. Top 5. No, sorry. Top 4. Chargers are obviously in the AFC, but the Rams are in the NFC. That's pretty bonkers. I don't get the love for Josh Allen. 2-time MVP? Yeah, should be number 2 on that list. Bonkers, man. Bonkers. There's one more I wanted to get to here. A couple more. Babs! What's up, Babs? Farzy, why did he know this all hurts a malcontent? I didn't hear that. Called him a malcontent? I did not hear that. By the way, Babs, am I just noticing now? Is either you look a lot like Michelle Tafoya or that's Michelle Tafoya. My friend, Michelle Tafoya. I didn't see that. I don't think Jalen Hurts is about. I did see some backlash on Jalen Hurts' comments about Nick Sirianni, about how that said something about Jalen Hurts. And I get that it did, but to me, the bigger story is not Jalen Hurts' personality or Jalen Hurts' attitude. The bigger story to me is that You have a head coach that's got one foot in the broom closet. Like, I think Jalen Hurts just simply couldn't tell a lie. And I don't want to fault him. Like, I don't hold it against him I don't hold that against him. I think it's very telling that hey, say something nice about Nick Sirianni. Ugh, you can't do that. I think I commend the guy for it. To me, the bigger story is not Jalen Hurts' attitude. It's that the Eagles still have Nick Sirianni here. That's the bigger story to me. James Alexander, it was something going on in the locker room last season. Yeah, something terrible. Babs, most people in Boston were watching Tom Brady night, not a bad Red Sox team or uncompetitive NBA Finals. The way Kellen Moore runs his style offense, it should be a breath of fresh air for sure. Motion, tight ends involved, and teams won't know what we're running before it happens, like Sirianni. I hope that's the case. Jason, Bobrovsky kills me. Never wanted him traded. I didn't want him traded either. That's great. Babs, it's her. It's her, Farzy. You know my face. That's great. Burrow owns Mahomes. Says Ultra Cowboy. Hilarious. The NL pennant will be decided between the Phillies and the Dodgers. I concur 100 billion% on that. No doubt in my mind. There was a Jerry West comment I saw. I wanted to get in here. Oh, that was the 3-point line by IBH. Yeah. Pretty insane. All right, let's get to the morning rush brought to by Sky Motor Cars. SkyMotorCars.com. Phillies back at it tonight against the Boston Red Sox. 7:10 start time again. This is the last game of this 3-game series before the Phillies head to Baltimore. Aaron Nola on the bump against Tanner Houck. Nola 8-2 on the season with a 2.77 ERA. Houck comes up here 6-5 with a 1.91 ERA. Just having himself a phenomenal season for the Red Sox. The ace of their staff. He is coming off back-to-back starts where he's gone at least 7 innings, allowing no more than 2 earned runs. Those were against the White Sox and the Detroit Tigers. He also went 6 innings against the Milwaukee Brewers, allowing 7 hits in that game with just 1 earned run. He is just having a phenomenal year. He is a rare pitcher that is pitching just amazing and not on the Phillies rotation. Go figure. So that's what you got tonight in the Philadelphia sports world. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. My name is Mark Farzetta. This is the Farzy Show. Make sure you hit like and subscribe on the Farzy Show YouTube channel. Make sure you hit like and subscribe on the Jacob Media YouTube channel. And then tonight, after the Phillies and the Red Sox wrap up this 3-game series, and hopefully Aaron Nola goes 8 scoreless tonight, I'll be on Locked On Sports Philadelphia. That's Locked On Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel for your Phillies postcast. So make sure you catch me there as well. Thanks, everybody. Check you guys tomorrow morning for the Farzy Show, a Friday edition. Until then, have a wonderful rest of your Thursday. See you tonight after Phillies Red Sox. Bye.